Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Head Chef Mom. I'm Kendall Lawrence, and I am so happy that you're here again with me today. And I want to start off by saying I appreciate everybody who joined me on my live yesterday on Sunday evening. It was a blast. We had such a good time, and I'm going to try to do that every Sunday evening. So if you weren't there, come on over because we had a party, guys. It was so much fun. And today I want to cook a recipe that I talked about in that live yesterday evening. I want to do the cabbage soup that we talked about. I am in the process of trying to drop a few pounds. Don't judge me by some of the things I'm going to be cooking. I'm cooking for you guys and I'm cooking for my family as well. But I want to do my cabbage soup recipe. This recipe is tried and true. First of all, it's delicious. Secondly, I have used it over the years when I've wanted to drop a few pounds quickly. So it is said that you can drop up to 10 pounds in a week with the cabbage soup diet. And I don't recommend anybody doing it for more than a week at a time. But I have definitely dropped some weight several times over the years after each one of my babies, and just times when I felt like I needed to drop some weight. I was able to do it by going on this low carb, healthy cabbage soup diet. So come on in and let's take a look at our ingredients. Okay, so here are the ingredients for our cabbage soup. I have some cabbage here. I have a head here. I'm probably going to use about a half of this cabbage head. I have some garlic, some fresh garlic. I have some carrots that I'll be shredding with my box cutter. I have some celery that I'll be slicing up. I have some plain white mushrooms that I'll be slicing up, and I have cleaned these by wiping them off with a damp paper towel. I have some fresh parsley. I have some salt and pepper that I'll be using to taste. I have some oregano, dried oregano, some dried basil, some chicken broth, and some diced tomatoes. And I have a few chicken bouillon cubes. I may or may not use them. I don't think that I'm going to have enough chicken broth for my needs, so I may just use some water and some bouillon cubes. So we'll see. The recipe will not include bouillon cubes. The recipe will say chicken broth, but you can make yours with some bouillon cube or homemade. And let's go ahead, and I'm going to get this all prepped and we'll start putting this together. Okay guys, so I have prepped all of my vegetables, and I diced up one medium and one small yellow onion that I did not show you when I showed you my list of ingredients. I also failed to show you that I'm going to be using some crushed red pepper, but again, all of the ingredients will be in the description box. Now, I've already gotten my onion here in the pot in a very good amount of baking drippings. And I say put a good amount in there because after I get my harder things like my onion and my celery softened up a little bit, I am going to drop my cabbage down in here. And I want to make sure that my cabbage gets a good coating of the bacon drippings on it, so that it can impart a great deal of flavor. So I'll be right back. Okay, so my onions and my celery have begun to soften up a little bit. So I am going to add my garlic now. And I'm going to add some seasoning. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of basil, dried basil. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of my crushed red pepper. We want this to be so yummy. So we're going to season in layers. And I'm going to do about a half a teaspoon of oregano. I always believe you should go light on oregano. Oregano has a really strong flavor. And I'm going to let this go for about a minute. Okay, so I have softened up my onions and my celery. And I added my garlic. Then I dumped in about a half a head of that cabbage, and I have been stirring it around. And if you can see it, I zoomed in a little bit. I hope you can see that it looks really shiny because I have been stirring it to ensure that it gets coated with the bacon drippings so that it can have a lot of nice flavor. Now, you don't have to use bacon drippings, guys, if you don't want to. You can just use some olive oil. Olive oil would be fantastic too. I personally like the flavor that the bacon drippings give to the soup. So now I'm going to add my carrots. Now I shredded my carrots finely with my box cutter. And let me tell you something about the carrots. So if you don't want to shred them as finely as I do, then you need to start them earlier so that they can cook, because the cabbage is going to cook more quickly than your sliced carrots if you slice them thicker. But these are so finely shredded that I can add them in at this point. And I have just rough chopped some parsley. I'm going to add my parsley in here. Okay, so I've got my parsley added to the mix. And, excuse me, I am now going to add in my mushrooms. And I'll just give them a stir. I don't need to, they can cook when I add my broth. So I'll get my mushrooms stirred in. So my mushrooms are stirred in nicely, and I have this 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes, and I'm going to just eyeball this. I'm going to put half the can in right now and stir it up and see if I like the ratio of tomato to the rest of the ingredients. So I think that I don't want it to be too tomatoey, so I've used about 14 ounces or 15 ounces, so you can use a small can of tomatoes, and I may even still adjust that. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to add some chicken broth and see if this is enough. Maybe I'll need to add some water. So I'm going to add a little bit of water because I want it to be soupy. And I took some of the chicken bouillon cubes that I have and I crushed them up, and I'm just going to add a pinch of that to make sure I keep it nicely seasoned. And I haven't added any salt, so we're still in the good to go range because there is salt in the broth, and I just added some bouillon cubes. And then just make this as soupy or as thick as you want it. I'm going to add a little bit more. Well, I don't have any more. I'm going to add a little bit more water. Okay, and I'll watch this. I'm going to let this just simmer on the stove for about a half an hour. I'm going to come back and check it, decide if I need to make any adjustments, and we'll go on from there. So it's only been about 12 minutes and I decided to give it a taste, and it's really important. I said I'm going to let it simmer about 30 minutes. You never want to let this simmer longer than 30 minutes unless you want a pot of mushy cabbage, okay? So some people like their vegetables firmer, some people like their vegetables softer. So I believe that in that 30-minute time period that I discussed with you, I think that during that time you need to taste and you need to decide if your vegetables are at the level of doneness or firmness or softness that you like, okay? And I like my vegetables to have a little bit of bite to them. So this tasted really good to me. I did not need to add any salt, but I did add some black pepper. So at this point, when it's simmering, add your salt and pepper to taste. I believe, based on me tasting, that I need to add a pinch of sugar, and I added just a little bit of pinch of sugar to my prep bowl here. Just squeeze my two fingers together just to kind of offset some acidity from the tomatoes. And I'm only going to let this go a couple more minutes because the vegetables are at the level of firmness that I really like. So no more than 30 minutes, guys. I'd say anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes you should let this go, because for the most part everything is done. Okay, all right, I'll be back. Okay guys, so here it is, our final product, our wonderful looking bowl of healthy weight loss cabbage soup. And another thing that I really love about this soup is that you can use anything that you want. It is so daggone versatile. You can use any vegetable that you have. So this is like clean out the vegetable bin kind of deal. And it is so delicious, and you know, it really is healthy. There's barely any carbs in there. You can eat as much of it as you want. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and give it a taste. Look at it. It's beautiful. Look at how beautiful that is. All those mushrooms and tomatoes and, oh gosh, carrots. Guys, this is like, excuse me, this is a wonderful recipe. Even if you're not trying to drop a few pounds, you are going to love this. This is such a lovely, fall is coming. This is something that you're going to want to put in your regular rotation. I love soups and stews in the fall and the winter. You don't need to be saying that I'm on a diet, but this will make you drop a few pounds. I promise you. I've done it several times through the years, and it has worked for me. Every time I get a little hankering for something to eat, I grab a little bit of cabbage soup, and it keeps me satisfied. It's delicious, so I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. Try this, guys. I'm going to do this week. I'll be cooking other things for my family, but I'm going to be eating this cabbage soup this week. And I guarantee you, by next week, my dresses will be fitting a little bit looser. Okay, comment, like, subscribe, share, and go feed your family. I love you guys. Bye-bye.